Welcome to a mystical and transformative journey through the illuminated pages of The Little Blue Book by Connie Mendez. Get ready to immerse yourself in a world where the magic of written words becomes the path to manifesting the deepest desires of the soul. Imagine a resplendent universe where words dance to the rhythm of wishes and thoughts transform into powerful architects of reality. In this audiobook, the pages come to life, revealing ancient secrets and teachings that transcend the barriers of time and space. Dive into a sanctuary of wisdom where each chapter is a walk along the paths of conscious creation and spiritual awakening. Connie Mendez, with her melodious voice, guides us on a journey of self-discovery, where the very essence of our intentions and visualizations becomes the driving force behind the materialization of our dreams. In this sacred place of knowledge, every word is a mantra, every sentence a spell that draws us closer to personal fulfillment and wholeness. Let the soft, enchanting voice immerse you in an ocean of possibilities where the power of the mind becomes the key to unlocking doors to a new universe of potentialities. Prepare to witness the alchemy of inner transformation where the Little Blue Book becomes a beacon of light on the path to happiness and abundance. Let the magic of these pages envelop you and allow the spark of creation to awaken deep within your being. Embark on this fascinating journey towards self-realization and discover the extraordinary power that resides within each of us through Connie Mendez's The Little Blue Book. Warning: it is recommended to read each metaphysical book multiple times. Each rereading allows for better understanding. What we practice stays with us, as what we read but do not use fades away. Introduction. This booklet is written in what the author calls penny words, meaning in simple terms, with the aim of making it accessible to all those seeking to know the truth of God, but who are not familiar with texts of psychology and metaphysics as written in French. Each time we encounter something new, unknown to us, dormant cells in our brain are activated. The second time we are faced with this new idea, we understand it a little better. Cells begin to work on this idea, and shortly after, light dawns in our minds, meaning we accept the idea, adopt it, and automatically put it into practice. This is how we awaken, learn, evolve, and progress. There is no need for superhuman effort to learn something. It is a natural process. However, we must be willing to reread again and again until we feel that what we have learned has become automatic. Take a copy of this brochure in your bag or pocket, place another on your bedside table, and reread it often, especially whenever you face a problem or a distressing situation, whatever it may be. Something amazing will happen. The booklet will open to the page you need, and you will think, "It seems like this was written for me." As Jesus Christ said, "In my Father's house are many mansions." Metaphysics is one of those mansions, that is, the study of mental and spiritual laws, which do not interfere with spiritualism, which is also a dwelling place in the Father's house. May this small work bring you all the peace and prosperity it has brought to so many others. Blessings upon you. Chapter 1. Dynamic Christianity. Before undertaking any occupation, the candidate who pursues it receives instructions or studies the technique. However, there are those who plunge into activity completely blindly, without instructions, technique, compass, planning, or any idea of what they will find. This is the human being who enters the business of living without even knowing what life is, without knowing why some lives are of abundance and satisfaction, while others are of misery and suffering. Some start with all the advantages that affection can offer, yet they are pursued by a series of misfortunes. The human being struggles with all false conjectures, and the day of their death arrives without even glimpsing the truth of it all. Learn the great truth: what you think manifests. Thoughts are things. It is your mentality that determines everything that happens to you. Your personal perception is what you see, not only in your body and character, but also outwardly in your living conditions, in your material aspects. Yes, as you have heard, thoughts are things. Now you will see, if you habitually think that you have a healthy constitution, whatever you do, you will always be in good health. But if you change your way of thinking and let the fear of illness creep in, you will start to fall ill and lose your health. If you were born into wealth, you could always be rich unless someone convinces you that there is a fate, and you begin to believe that yours can change due to adversities and setbacks. Because you believe it, your life, what happens to you, obeys your beliefs and what you express with words. It is a law, a principle. Do you know what a principle is? It is an invariable law that never fails. This law is called the principle of mentalism. If you have anchored in your mind the idea that incidents threaten us at every step, if you believe that age-related troubles are inevitable, if you are convinced of your good or bad luck, whatever you normally expect, whether positive or negative, is the condition you will see manifest in your life and in everything you do. This is the reason for what happens to you. You are rarely aware of the ideas that fill your mind. They form based on what we are taught or what we hear. As almost everyone is ignorant of the laws that govern life, laws called the laws of creation, almost everyone spends their life creating unfavorable conditions, seeing how what seemed so good turns into evil, groping about like blind people, without a compass, without a rudder, and without peace, attributing our ills to life itself, learning the hard way or attributing them to God's will. From what you have read so far, you will understand that the human being is not what we have been led to believe, namely, a cork in the midst of a storm, tossed here and there by the waves. Their life, their world, their circumstances, everything they are and everything that happens to them are their creations and no one else's. They are the sovereign of their empire. And if their opinion is precisely that, of being just a cork in the midst of a storm, so be it. They believed it and allowed it. To be born with free will means to have been created with the individual right to choose, to think negatively or positively, to be pessimistic or optimistic, to think of what is ugly and bad, which brings ugliness and wickedness, or to think of the beautiful and good, which brings beauty and goodness, both outwardly and inwardly. Metaphysics has always taught that what we think often deposits itself in the unconscious and acts as a reflection. Modern psychology has finally discovered this. When the human being finds themselves in the throes of the effects of their ignorance, that is, when they themselves have brought about calamity, they turn to God and ask to be freed from suffering. Sometimes the man sees that God listens, and other times, incomprehensibly, God does not. In the latter case, their loved ones console them, saying that one must resign oneself to God's will. In other words, everyone considers the Creator's will to be bad, but at the same time, religion teaches that God is our Father, a Father of goodness, love, mercy, eternal wisdom. See how these two theories do not coincide. Does it seem sensible to you that a loving and infinitely wise Father could harbor and manifest ill will towards his children? We, mortal parents, would never attribute to a child the crimes we attribute to God. We would never condemn a creature of our own flesh to eternal fire for a natural mistake of their mortal condition. Considering that God is capable, that is, without being aware, we attribute to God a nature of a capricious and vindictive magnate, full of ill will, always ready to inflict disproportionate punishments for the smallest infraction. This way of thinking is natural because, when we are born, we live ignoring the fundamental rules and laws of life. We have already explained why our catastrophes occur. We created them with our thoughts. In this, we are made in the image and likeness of the Creator. We are creators, each of our own manifestation. Now, why does it seem that God intervenes sometimes and not others? You will soon understand. Prayer is the purest and most elevated thought that one can conceive. It polarizes the mind to the highest degree of positivity. They are vibrations of light that we emit when we pray, that is, when we think of God. These vibrations should instantly transform all the dark circumstances surrounding us into perfect and beautiful conditions, just like bringing a lamp into a dark room. Every time the one who prays thinks and believes that the God they appeal to is a loving Father who desires to grant all good to their child, in that case, God always answers. But because in general humanity is accustomed to praying in a similar way to Daddy God, get me out of this situation. I know you'll think it's not good for me because you want to test me. In other words, they have already denied any possibility of receiving. They have more faith in this God they have been taught as capricious, vindictive, full of ill will, waiting only for the first offense to inflict punishments of satanic cruelty, because the one who prays in this way receives only according to the image they have of God. It is as simple as what I'm telling you. Never forget again that God's will for you is good, health, peace, happiness, well-being, all the good He has created. Never forget again that God is neither the judge, nor the policeman, nor the executioner, nor the tyrant you have been made to believe. The truth is that He created 7 laws, 7 principles that always act in everything and never rest, not even for a minute. They are responsible for maintaining order and harmony throughout creation. There is no need for police in the mind. One who does not follow the law punishes themselves. What we think manifests. So learn to think correctly and in accordance with the law so that all the good God wants for you can manifest. St. Paul said that God is closer to us than our feet and hands, even closer than our breath. That is why we don't have to shout for Him to listen to us. Just thinking a little about Him is enough, and what seems disorderly will begin to order itself. He created us and He knows us better than we know ourselves. He knew why we act in a certain way. He does not expect us to act like saints when we learn to walk in this spiritual life. I beg you not to believe anything I tell you without checking it first. That is your divine and sovereign right. Do not do what you have done so far. Accept everything you hear and see without giving yourself the opportunity to judge between what is right and what is wrong. Chapter 2. The Mechanics of Thought. Throughout the day and night, we think about countless different things, like in a constant and discontinuous film that runs through our minds. Among the different ideas, we stop to contemplate, examine, or study some more than others. Why? Because they have stimulated our feelings, made us feel fear or antipathy, sympathy or compassion, pleasure or displeasure. Whatever the reason, due to these feelings, the idea interests us. We ponder it more and perhaps discuss it with someone. That is meditation, and what is meditated passes into the unconscious and is recorded there. Once an idea is recorded in the unconscious, it becomes a reflex. You know that when the doctor taps you with an object on a point near your knee, your leg jumps. They touched a sensitive point, and you reacted, right? In the same way, every time something happens in your life that relates to one of the ideas recorded in your unconscious, the reflex reacts in the same way it was recorded. You adopt an attitude consistent with the original feeling you had when you first thought about that idea. Metaphysicians call this a concept, that is a belief, a conviction. The unconscious does not discern, does not decide, has no opinions, and does not think independently. It does not have the power to protest or its own will. Those are not its functions. Its only function is to react by organizing the reflex given to it. In this sense, it is a wonderful archive, a secretary, an automatic librarian that never rests and never fails. It doesn't even have a sense of humor, and doesn't know when an order has been given in jest or seriousness. So, if your nose is a bit prominent and, to make others laugh, you adopt a joke calling it "my stuffed potato nose," for example, because the unconscious is a precise servant devoid of humor, it unconditionally obeys. It will then seek by all means to execute the order you gave it with your words and feelings, and you will see how your nose will increasingly resemble a stuffed potato. The word metaphysics means beyond the physical, that is, the science that studies and deals with everything that is invisible to physical senses. It gives you the explanation for everything we do not understand, for everything that is mysterious, and it is precise, as you will see, by reading this brochure. Now you will see. Do you remember the first time you heard the word cold? You were very young. Adults were saying this word and taught you to fear it. By continuously repeating it, they taught you to understand it. They told you not to wet your feet, not to stay in drafts, not to get close to someone because they had a cold, and so on. All of this was recorded in your subconscious and turned into a reflex. You never had to remember the warnings of adults. The harm was already done. Since then, your subconscious gave you a cold every time you stood in a draft, every time you wet your feet, every time you got close to someone with a cold, and every time you heard about a flu or cold epidemic. All this because of adults, what you heard from others, what you read in newspapers and heard in radio and TV announcements. And especially because you ignore the metaphysical truth of life, you accepted these false ideas, and they became reflexes that act automatically without premeditation on your part, and are the cause of all the troubles that afflict you in your life. You have accumulated a voluminous load of strange ideas that influence all areas of your life, from your body to your soul and spirit. Remember that if you had not accepted them, if you had exercised your divine and sovereign right to accept or reject, you would not have accepted the negative. There would have been no germs, no viruses, and no power in the world capable of attacking or convincing your subconscious to act differently from the way you instructed it. Your negative or positive will is the magnet that attracts towards you germs, adverse or positive circumstances, as we have already said. Your negative or positive attitude towards events determines the effects for you. Chapter 3. The Infallible Formula. It turns out that every human mind contains a set of opinions, beliefs, or erroneous concepts contrary to the truth and in conflict with the fundamental principles of creation, which constantly manifest in external conditions. All the calamities and sufferings that afflict man and the world in general, diseases, accidents, conflicts, disagreements, shortages, failures, and even death. Fortunately, none of this corresponds to the truth of being. Fortunately, there is a way to erase all these false beliefs and replace them with correct ones, which will not only produce positive, good, happy, and just conditions and circumstances, but once the error has been corrected and the truth established in the subconscious, negative things cannot happen anymore. Never in our lives has the order been changed. The magnet has changed its pole. It is absolutely impossible to attract something that does not already have its correspondence within us. The infallible formula is as follows. Every time something desired happens to you, you fall ill, you have an accident, you are stolen from, offended, disturbed. You harm someone else or yourself if you are affected by a physical or moral defect or character, if you do not please someone, if you hate them or love them too much and suffer because of it, if you are tormented by jealousy, if you fall in love with someone who belongs to another, if you are a victim of injustice or domination by others. The list is infinite, so identify the condition that influences you. Know the truth. As Jesus Christ, the greatest of all metaphysical teachers, said, "Know the truth and the truth will set you free." The truth, the supreme law, is perfect harmony, beauty, goodness, justice, freedom, health, intelligence, wisdom, love, and bliss. Everything to the contrary is appearance, contrary to the supreme law of perfect harmony, and is therefore a lie, because it is contrary to the truth. Your higher self is perfect right now and has always been. It cannot get sick because it is life. It cannot die for the same reason. It cannot age. It cannot suffer. It cannot fear. It is splendid. It is love, intelligence, wisdom, joy. It is the truth. Your truth, mine, everyone's truth. And now this does not mean that the human being is God. Externally, after a short time of this practice, you will notice that your way of speaking changes, your way of thinking changes, you and your whole life will be transformed by the renewal of your intelligence. When you are in a meeting with other people, you will notice the type of concepts they have, and you will observe them in everything that happens to them. Every time you hear negative conversations, do not confirm anything they express. Think, I do not accept this for myself or for them. It is not necessary to say it. It is better not to disclose the truth you are learning, not because you have to hide it, but because there is a hidden principle that says, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. With the law of attraction, whoever is ready to progress automatically approaches the one who can help them progress. So, do not try to be a catechist. Do not force anyone to receive lessons on the truth. You may find that those you thought were most willing are the ones who sympathize the least. Jesus referred to this when he said, "Do not give what is sacred to the dogs, and do not throw your pearls before swine, lest they trample them underfoot and turn to attack you." Chapter 5. Move mountains with faith. Why and how? Everyone knows the saying and often repeats it like parrots, because in reality they do not know what it means, nor why, nor how faith moves mountains. Few know that fear also moves mountains. Fear and faith are the same force. Fear is negative and faith is positive. Fear is faith in evil. That is the conviction that bad things will happen. Faith is the conviction that what will happen is good or will go well. Fear and faith are two sides of the same coin. Note, well, you never fear that something good will happen to you, and you never have faith that bad things will happen to you. Faith is always associated with something we desire, and I don't believe you desire harm for yourself, do you? You fear it, right? Everything you fear, you attract, and it happens to you. Now, when something happens to you, you generally triumphantly say, "Ah, I knew it, I felt it," and you rush to tell it and repeat it as if you wanted to boast of your clairvoyant powers. But in reality, what happened is that you thought about it with fear. You felt it, and of course you felt it, you said it yourself. Know that everything you think while feeling an emotion is what manifests or attracts itself. You predicted it, and you awaited. To me. Now don't doubt for a single moment. You've used the magic formula, you've observed the entire law, and it won't be long before you see your will manifesting. Be patient. The more you wait, the quicker you'll see the result. Impatience, tension, and mental insistence destroy the treatment. The formula is what is called a treatment in metaphysics. For you to understand what you've done, I will repeat the formula and explain the process to you in detail. By saying in harmony for the entire world, you've eliminated any danger that your interest might harm others, just as it is impossible to desire harm for another. When you say, in accordance with divine will, if what you desire is less than perfect for you, you'll discover that something much better than what you could have hoped for will occur. In this case, it means that what you desired wouldn't have been good enough or wouldn't have been as good as you thought. God's will is perfect. When you say under grace and in a perfect way, it conceals a wonderful secret. But let me give you an example of what happens when you don't know how to ask under grace and in a perfect way. A lady urgently needed a sum of money, and she asked for it on the 15th of each month. She had absolute faith that she would receive it, but her selfishness and indifference didn't prompt her to ask with the slightest consideration for others. The next day, a car damaged her daughter, and on the 15th of the month, she received exactly the sum she had asked for. The insurance had expired due to her daughter's accident. She applied the law against herself. Asking under grace and in a perfect way is working with the spiritual law, God's law, that always manifests itself on the spiritual plane. There, on the spiritual plane, everything is perfect, without obstacles, hindrances, inconveniences, or harm to anyone, without struggle or effort. Everything flows smoothly with great love. And that is our truth. It's the truth that, once known, sets you free. Thank you, Father, for listening to me as the ultimate expression of faith we can nurture. Jesus taught it and applied it in everything, from the moment he broke the bread with which he fed 5,000 people to when he said how to transform wine into his blood. Thanking the Father before seeing the manifestation, as you will see, was all Jesus taught. Everything was metaphysical. Everything you desire, everything you need, you can manifest it. The Father has already planned everything, has already given everything, but you must ask for it as you feel the need. Just remember that you cannot ask for harm for another because it will be sent back to you and what you ask for yourself. You must ask for the whole of humanity too, for we are all children of the same Father. For instance, ask for big things. The Father is very rich and doesn't appreciate greed. Don't say, "Daddy God, give me a small house, I just ask for a small house," when in reality you need a much larger house because your family is large. You will only receive what you ask for. Ask in this way, "Father, grant to me and all of humanity all the wonders of your kingdom." And now make your list to strengthen your faith. Make a list of things you want or need. List objects or things. Next to this list, make another list of things you want to see disappear, both within yourself and externally. On the same sheet, write the formula I gave you above. Now, read your sheet every evening and don't allow any doubt. Thank again every time you think about what you've written. When you see the things you've listed materialize, erase them. In the end, when you see them all materialized, don't be so ungrateful as to think, maybe they would have given them to me anyway, because that's false. They were given to you because you asked for them correctly, and the environment adapted for them to materialize. As you are accustomed to feeling fear for various reasons, every time you feel attacked by fear, repeat the following formula that will cancel the reflex you've imprinted in your subconscious. I'm not afraid, I don't want to be afraid. God is love, and in all of creation, there is nothing to fear. I have faith, I want to feel faith. A great master always said that the only thing to fear is fear itself. You must repeat this formula even when trembling with terror. At that moment, it's even more important. The simple desire to not be afraid and the desire to have faith are sufficient to cancel all the effects of fear and place you on the positive pole of faith. I suppose you already know the psychological principle that says, when a habit is erased, it must be replaced by another. Whenever an idea crystallized in the subconscious is denied or rejected, a small void is created. This void must be immediately filled with an opposite idea. Otherwise, it will attract similar ideas that float in the atmosphere, thought by others. Gradually, you will see your fears fade if you have the will to be consistent, repeating the formula in all circumstances that arise. Gradually, you will see that only what you desire to see materialize will materialize. You will know them by their fruits, Jesus said. This powerful tool, the power of decree, is presented to us in this extraordinary account of creation found in the first 2 chapters of Genesis in the Bible. I suggest you take time to read this wonderful account. As you progress in this reading, you will discover that humanity, including you and me, was not designed to be a puppet of circumstances, a victim of external conditions, or a puppet manipulated by forces beyond its domain. On the contrary, we realize that man occupies the pinnacle of creation. Far from being insignificant in the grand scheme of the universe, thanks to the powers bestowed upon him by the Creator, man is the supreme authority designated by God to govern the earth and everything created in it. Man, created in the image and likeness of his Creator, possesses similar powers, being the instrument through which the wisdom, love, life, and power of divine creativity are fully expressed. Placed by God in a receptive and obedient universe, including his body, his affairs, and his environment, man is invested with the power to implement the edicts and decrees of his supreme authority. His power to decree is absolute, and the domain entrusted to him is irrevocable. Yet, the fundamental nature of the universe, although originally good according to the Creator's vision, presents itself to man as he decrees it. It's the interpretation he gives that dictates how it manifests to him. Thus, while the intrinsic goodness of the universe is unshakable, it appears to man according to his own decrees and interpretations. We observe that as long as man remained obedient to his Creator, he held the power to think and decree in line with the spirit of good, the fundamental essence of creation. In this state of perfect harmony, he dwelled in a universe imbued with goodness, a true Garden of Eden where prosperity and abundance reigned supreme. However, when man fell by partaking in the tree of knowledge of good and evil, he chose to base his thoughts and the use of his powers on this duality, thereby asserting himself as a being endowed with free will. This act instantly introduced sweat and thorns into his daily life, symbolizing the difficulties and sufferings he would encounter. Since this original fall, man has embarked on a perpetual quest to qualify his world as either good or bad, and his experiences have closely correlated with his deep-seated beliefs. This reality eloquently highlights how the universe responds to man's intimate decrees, demonstrating how complete and transcendental his authority and influence on his environment are. Hence, each decree of man, every deep-seated belief he holds, acts as a potent driving force, shaping his reality and determining the course of his experiences. It is a striking illustration of the power and responsibility that lie upon man in the co-creation of his universe, a remarkable demonstration of the connection between his thoughts and the manifestations of his existence. Chapter 6. Love is what this chapter brings to complement your understanding of the first principle of creation, the principle of mentalism, whose motto is, "Everything is spirit." Jesus Christ said, "You are gods." Gospel of John 10:34. Just as the entire creation sprang forth from a manifested thought, similarly man, as divine potential, creates through his own thought everything he sees taking form, thereby reflecting the image and likeness of his Creator. You have already assimilated the workings of this mental creation. You have grasped the dynamic nature of what you have created, recognizing the positive or negative polarity of your thoughts and their consequences. You have understood the immeasurable power of faith or fear, which shape and determine the nature of this creation, and you have learned to mold the external appearance of what you have conceived. All of this is done by granting or denying the power of speech, this concrete manifestation of your thought, thus confirming the commands you have issued through your mind. And finally, you have acquired this infallible formula, one that enables you to create, manifest, and attract to yourself the best, the highest, the perfect. By mastering these mechanisms, you have accessed an incredible power, that of consciously shaping your reality. You now understand that every thought is a seed and every word is an affirmation of that creation. You have discovered that the choice between faith and fear, between positive and negative thoughts, is the crucial point that shapes your existence. Thus, you hold in your hands the power to outline your destiny. You have learned to become the architect of your own life, capable of materializing your loftiest aspirations. With this knowledge and mastery, you can work towards creating a reality aligned with your greatest desires, thus opening the doors to the best and most perfect that you can imagine. Understanding the truth by following the teachings of the Master Jesus means acknowledging that this truth lies in our creation by a perfect Creator, imbued with His own perfect essence and endowed with free will to create positively or negatively. That is why evil is not a creation of God, having no power before absolute truth. It is replaced by positive thought and speech, which act as powerful forces to shape reality. Hence, the key lies in the mind's ability to choose and focus on truth, to emit thoughts and words aligned with goodness, kindness, and harmony. It is this power of creation and manifestation that each one carries within, a power that can transform reality, shape it according to principles of light and truth, and thus engender higher and more enlightened experiences. Jesus said, "Do not resist evil," Matthew 5:39, meaning we overcome evil with good. The only truth is goodness. From now on, you cannot blame anyone for what happens to you. You must look at yourself in the mirror and ask, what was my mental disposition in this circumstance? Was it positive or negative? Did I feel faith or fear? What kind of decree did I launch with my words? You must be sincere and answer truthfully. Are you satisfied with what you perceive, or do you feel discomfort, disturbance in this reality you observe? Now let us delve into the depths of Christian metaphysics, where we describe God under 7 fundamental aspects: love, truth, life, intelligence, soul, spirit, and principle. These aspects, all invisible to the naked eye, represent mental realities. We cannot apprehend or touch them, but we can feel and appreciate their tangible and transformative effects in our lives. They are indisputable realities, acting forces that permeate the universe, and none can be denied. Love, foremost among these aspects, is considered the character of God, a sublime and tangible force, the most potent of all. Yet, few truly grasp the profound nature of love. Love, far beyond a mere emotion or feeling, transcends conventional definitions. It represents a state of being, a pure energy that guides and nurtures all of creation. It is the very essence of God, a universal force that transcends barriers, unites and heals, gives meaning and depth to our lives. But alas, despite its immense power, few delve into a genuine understanding of what love truly is. Understanding love means exploring its infinite nuances, immersing oneself in compassion, kindness, generosity, and forgiveness. It is perceiving beauty in diversity, welcoming the other without judgment, and embracing the intrinsic connection between all beings. It is only by exploring its multiple facets that we begin to touch upon the true nature of divine love, a sacred elixir capable of transforming and elevating our existence to unsuspected heights of bliss and universal harmony. Most people associate love with feelings towards parents, children, spouses, lovers, and so on. These feelings can vary between affection, attachment, attraction, antipathy, and even hatred, as different degrees of the same reality, the feeling. Love, however, is of infinite complexity and cannot be reduced to a single word. On this planet, it is often perceived as a sensation, even if that represents only a superficial facet of what love truly is. Yet let us start by understanding this sensation to approach, as much as possible, the understanding of love. At the center of the scale, ranging from hatred to what we call love, are tolerance and goodwill. This may seem paradoxical, but an excess of love can sometimes lack tolerance and goodwill, just as blind hatred does. When one loves excessively, there may be a lack of patience and understanding, and similarly, blind hatred can generate a complete absence of tolerance and a willingness to understand. Tolerance, in its purest form, is the ability to accept differences, to respect the other despite our divergences, while goodwill expresses a sincere desire for the well-being of others, regardless of our personal feelings. This duality between tolerance and goodwill is therefore at the very heart of true love. It is an invitation to transcend our emotions, to cultivate an open mind and a spirit of generosity towards all, a willingness to understand, respect, and accept others in all their diversity, without judgment or prejudice. In other words, both excessive love and excessive lack of love negate tolerance and goodwill. Jesus said, "Peace to men of goodwill," which implies that anything beyond this does not bring peace. Peace lies at the center, in perfect balance, neither too much nor too little, and thus in everything. All excesses, even the excess of good, excess of money, love, charity, prayer, sacrifice, etc., disturb the balance of the scales, leaning to one side and removing peace. Genesis says, "You are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil." Genesis 2:16-17. This precisely refers to this. The trunk of the tree symbolizes the center, the balance. The branches extend from this center, reaching out in all directions and producing fruits, some appearing as good, others as bad, symbolizing extremes. The forbidden fruit, which originated many disturbances in the world, resides in the extremes, in excesses that deviate from divine balance. For God, in his creative wisdom, proclaimed that all he had made was good. This notion leads us back to the concept of love. It is deeply regrettable to observe that, at times, under the guise of excessive love, certain mothers hinder the emancipation of their children. They prevent them from flourishing, from establishing their own households, or acting autonomously, even as adults. This behavior does not stem from genuine love, but rather from a disguised form of selfishness, camouflaged under the deceptive veil of a desire for possession. This type of relationship, although expressed under the appearance of maternal affection, can be suffocating and limiting for children. It creates barriers to their personal development, hindering their ability to explore their own path, learn from their experiences, and build their own identity. When maternal love becomes excessive to the point of impeding the freedom and autonomy of children, it departs from its true essence, that of a love that encourages and supports but does not control. This excess of parental zeal may result from anxiety or unconscious fear of seeing their children face the world alone, or from difficulty in allowing for their independence. However, it is crucial to understand that authentic love involves freedom, respect, and trust in the capabilities of loved ones to follow their own path. Thus, authentic love manifests in the ability to let children grow, learn from their experiences, and make their own decisions, even if these may sometimes differ from what parents would wish for them. It is a love that transcends possessiveness to allow for personal fulfillment, fostering children's autonomy and self-confidence to navigate life with assurance. Seeking to hold on to those claimed to be loved beyond their own will, beyond their need for independence and growth, is more a desire for control, often motivated by the fear of loss or the desire to maintain a sense of power or possession. This significantly deviates from genuine love. True love embraces freedom, respect, and the growth of the loved one. It encourages autonomy, personal development, and the capacity to make decisions, even if these might lead to paths different from those wished for them. It is a form of love that is exhibited through freedom, understanding, support, and respect for everyone's free will. Thus, balance in love lies in the ability to give without expectations, to support without conditions, and to love without seeking to possess. It is in this dynamic of openness and freedom that true love can flourish, allowing everyone to grow and thrive according to their own path and inner truth. Similarly, the phenomenon of jealousy experienced by fiancés or wives reflects a similar reality in these particular forms of love. These emotional reactions are nothing but excesses of feeling, surpassing reasonable limits, far beyond tolerance and goodwill. Jealousy rooted in these relationships is often the product of a distorted or exaggerated perception of events, fueled by personal insecurities or fears of losing the loved one. When this emotion becomes excessive, it can cloud the clarity and serenity of relationships, leading to controlling behaviors, constant doubts, or unnecessary tensions. These excesses of jealousy far exceed the limits of trust and understanding, disrupting the natural balance of relationships. They can generate conflicts, create barriers to open and healthy communication, and ultimately undermine mutual trust between partners. It is essential to recognize that genuine love thrives on mutual trust, respect, and freedom. Excessive jealousy, on the other hand, creates chains that hinder individual growth and the health of relationships. By working on understanding, open communication, and mutual trust, these emotional excesses can gradually be soothed, allowing relationships to regain a healthy balance and a solidity based on more stable and caring foundations. Excessive sentiment generally indicates a failure in the development of intelligence. It will certainly provoke indignation from those who boast of being very sentimental. No one likes someone else discovering their lack of intelligence, but excessive emotionality can reveal it because any excess is harmful, indicating a lack of counterbalance. Excessive warmth, for example, is balanced by an equal amount of cold to make them bearable or unpleasant. Intelligence is often perceived as cold, rational, while emotion is considered warm, expressive. Profound emotional capability is an admirable and highly sought-after quality, provided it is harmoniously balanced by an equivalent intellectual capacity. It is this union that gives birth to great artists, to those who transform their emotions into works of art, into captivating creations. The artist embodies this fusion between intellect and emotion, utilizing their art as a channel to express the richness of their inner world. It is within this creative space that they unleash their emotional strength, channeling their deepest feelings to transmit them through their creations. However, the beauty of this artistic expression lies in its balance. Pure emotion, without the guidance of reason, can sometimes lead to chaotic and disorderly expression, while intellect devoid of emotion risks being sterile and soulless. It is in the right measure of this alliance between intelligence and emotion that masterpieces are born, artistic compositions that touch souls and captivate minds. Thus, the artist, by mastering this alchemy between intellect and emotion, manages to transcend human limitations, to create works that not only reflect their intimate feelings, but also resonate with universal experience, touching the hearts of those who contemplate them. It is in this harmony that the magic of artistic creation resides, capable of communicating deep emotions while being carried by the clarity and depth of intellectual thought. On the other hand, excessively emotional and less intellectually developed individuals project all their passion onto the people around them, seeking to hold them back and impose their orders. The remedy for excess emotionality lies in the ability to think and reflect deeply, giving particular attention to daily meditation on intelligence. It is essential to begin by questioning the very meaning of intelligence. Let us continue this exploration by contemplating the fact that every entity in the universe, from the smallest to the grandest, contains a form of intelligence within it. This intelligence manifests itself in multiple ways, from the delicate interactions among plant cells, to the complex behaviors of animal species, to the natural phenomena that shape our environment. Even plants themselves, seemingly static, express a subtle form of intelligence through their ability to respond to their environment, adapt to changing conditions, and even communicate among themselves through mechanisms we do not yet fully understand. The animal world also abounds with fascinating examples of intelligence, from the elaborate social structures of insect colonies to the cognitive prowess of dolphins and primates. Even at the level of natural phenomena, we can perceive an inherent intelligence in the way ecosystems interact, adapt, and maintain balance. Natural cycles, seasonal changes, interactions between elements. All of these bear witness to an intrinsic intelligence that regulates and coordinates these processes with astonishing precision. This pervasive intelligence in nature often challenges our traditional concepts of what intelligence is. It reminds us that intelligence is not limited to human capacities alone, but is a dynamic and diverse force that animates and orchestrates all of creation. It is an intelligence emerging from the complex and harmonious interaction between the constituent elements of our universe, a continuous testimony to the infinite wisdom inscribed in the very fabric of reality. Intelligence, although often associated with human cognitive ability, extends far beyond this limited definition. It permeates every aspect of existence, orchestrating the complex processes governing the functioning of nature, from plant growth to the adaptation mechanisms of animals. Intelligence is the invisible force at work in the conception and development of the universe in varied and infinite forms. Meditating on this universal intelligence invites us to broaden our vision and recognize the wisdom unfolding in every element of creation. It is an introspection that deeply connects us to the fabric of existence, allowing us to understand that we are an integral part of a complex and interconnected network where each element holds its own form of intelligence. By cultivating this awareness of the pervasive intelligence in the world around us, we can transcend our excessive emotional reactions by embracing rationality, reflection, and wisdom. This meditation on intelligence thus becomes a path toward a deeper understanding of our place in the universe and a means to find balance between our emotions and intellect. And finally affirm, I am intelligent with the very intelligence of God, for I have been created by the very essence of the Creator, through intelligence, with the intelligence, and by the intelligence of God. After a few days of repeating this treatment, you will notice a change in mental elasticity and mental penetration. After just 1 week of exercise, you will see a transformation in your ability to love others, a particular serenity and generosity that you never thought you could express. At the same time, you will notice a total change in how others perceive you. This phenomenon stems from the fact that we are interconnected and indivisible beings, where what affects one individual has an impact on the whole. Every step taken by an individual contributes to the well-being and evolution of the entire human community. Now, let's address the main enemy afflicting humanity: resentment, bitterness, and even hatred. Resentment and bitterness act as plagues, undermining inner peace and poisoning interpersonal relationships. These toxic emotions, often arising from past pains, unhealed wounds, or unresolved conflicts, transform into emotional burdens, poisoning our being and affecting our worldview. When these feelings settle in, they create a dark veil that distorts our perception, preventing us from seeing the beauty and goodness in others. They trap us in a cycle of negativity, affecting our emotional health, mental well-being, and our ability to love and receive love. By freeing ourselves from the weight of resentment, we pave the way for healing, personal growth, and reconnection with others. This does not mean forgetting or forgiving lightly, but rather acknowledging these emotions, understanding them, and undertaking a process of healing and liberation for our own well-being. By working on transforming these negative emotions into understanding, forgiveness, and acceptance, we can heal our relationships, free our minds, and restore harmony both within ourselves and in our interaction with the world around us. It is a path toward collective healing and building a more compassionate and understanding world. There are barely any human beings exempt from resentment, without knowing that it embitters life, negatively influences all manifestations, and is the cause of all the disappointments we endure. Even when we acquire mechanisms to deny and affirm, to acknowledge the truth and to monitor and correct our thoughts and words, a single resentment, a persistent bitterness nestled deep in our subconscious and soul, acts like a tiny source of ice, dropping drop by drop an insidious bitterness. This bitterness infiltrates everything, remarkably thwarting our noblest aspirations and deepest desires. However small it may appear, this resentment has the power to pervert our perspective, distort our relationships, and sabotage our holiest dreams. It is a powerful reminder of the need to conscientiously work on dissipating these shadows of the past, to free our hearts from these emotional burdens, and to welcome the light of healing and forgiveness, to allow our inner being to fully flourish. Nothing, not even the most perfect manifestation, can endure as long as there is this infectious point that ruins our very being. The Bible, churches, and religions are tired of preaching forgiveness and love towards our enemies, but all is in vain as long as they do not teach us the practical way of imposing forgiveness towards those who hurt us. It is often said, "I forgive, but I cannot forget." This is false. As long as a person remembers a hurt, they have not forgiven it. Let us give the infallible formula to forgive and forget at the same time, for our own convenience, as it places us at the central point of balance, that of tolerance and goodwill. This effort is love. St. John, the Apostle of Love, says, "Love is the fulfillment of the law." Fulfilling the law of love means fulfilling all laws. It means being with God, in God. It means being happy, feeling satisfied and fulfilled in all our manifestations. My master used to say, "The man who loves well is the most powerful man in the world." Here is the recipe for loving well. Every time you feel something unpleasant towards another person, or feel resentful for something done to you, acknowledge that you hold a grudge or open desires for revenge, deliberately start remembering. It's not about trying to forget what happened. Now it's about remembering all the good things you know about that person. Try to relive the enjoyable moments you appreciated in their company in the past, before the moment they hurt you. Insist on remembering the good things, their good qualities, how you thought of them. If you can laugh at a joke they told you or something funny you enjoyed together, the miracle is done. If one treatment is not enough, repeat it as many times as necessary to erase the resentment or bitterness. It's good to do it up to 70 times. This is the fulfillment of the law given by Jesus. Do not resist evil. It is to turn the other cheek. It is to love our enemies, bless those who curse us, do good to those who hate us, pray for those who insult and persecute us. All of this without letting ourselves be trampled upon. If you do it sincerely, you will notice something very strange. This is because you will first feel liberated, then a mountain of little troubles that were happening to you, and you did not know how to attribute, will disappear as if by magic, and your life will progress without hitches. Moreover, you will feel loved by everyone, even by people you did not like before. The decrees and affirmations, or the technique of metaphysical treatments, following this is that you learn to formulate your prayers, what we call treatments in metaphysics. Because all day long we think and decree, all day long we pray negatively or positively, and create our own conditions, states, and events. The important thing is to stay in the state of mind expressed by the prayer. If, after affirming, you allow the negative polarity to carry you away again, you will destroy the effect of the prayer. Watch your thoughts and be mindful of your words. Do not let yourself be carried away by what others express. Remember that they do not know what you already know. Everything you think and ask for yourself, think it also for others. We are all one in the mind, and this is the most effective way to give, better than bread and charity. Indeed, bread and charity last only for a moment, while the truth remains with the other forever. At some point, your spiritual gift will penetrate your conscious mind, and you will have accomplished a work of salvation for a brother. The principle of rhythm, which is the law of the pendulum, the boomerang returns to you the good you do, just as the evil you do. It is said that with God, an individual is the majority. Thus, a single person who raises their consciousness to the spiritual plane and recognizes the truth as outlined above is capable of saving an organization from ruin, saving a community, a city, or a nation from any crisis because they act on the spiritual plane, which is the truth, and truth dominates all lower planes. Know the truth, and it shall set you free. Faced with a personal illness or that of others, I do not accept this appearance, neither for me nor for anyone else. I am life in you, in me, in the entire world. Thank you, Father, for listening to me. Repeat this affirmation whenever this case comes to mind, this case that forced you to express it. In any situation of fear, I do not accept fear. God is love. I am His child. I am love. I am made of love and for love. Thank you, Father, for listening to me. In any situation of personal or others' sadness, I do not accept it. I am joy. I am happiness. Begin listing all the good things you have. Thank you, Father. In any manifestation of shortage, I do not accept this appearance. My world contains everything, and I am the abundance of everything. Thank you, Father, for everything being covered today. In the face of anything that goes against world or individual peace, I do not accept this appearance of conflict. I am peace, harmony, and order. We are all one. I forgive the fathers who do not know what they do. I forgive everyone, and I forgive myself. Thank you, Father, for listening to me and always listening to me. Metaphysics of the 10 Commandments. We will insert here only 2 of them, the 5th and the 6th, among the so-called laws of God, which you will study when you feel like learning them. There is a law called the law of correspondence. It has nothing to do with letters or mail. Correspondence in this case means what corresponds to another thing, that is, identical. As it is above, so it is below, and as it is below, so it is above, that is, identical. For example, we always want to know what the afterlife looks like. Let's imagine that the afterlife refers to the plane above the earth or the plane below the earth. The motto of this law is, as it is above, so it is below, and as it is below, so it is above. Meaning that on earth we have governments, schools, teachers, problems, and ways to solve them. There are hands, feet, ears, eyes. There are sounds, time, space. There are flowers and fruits. Finally, you know what that means. In every plane there is what corresponds to all of this, even if these other planes are invisible to our earthly eyes. The only change is that as you go up in the planes, the same conditions become less dense, more spacious, purer, more beautiful, more interesting but more complex. Because in each higher plane there is one more dimension compared to the previous plane. This does not mean that living in the new plane after leaving the old one is difficult. It is not for the simple reason that it is not difficult for a child to walk alone after learning that nothing bad will happen to them when they let go. Let's get straight to the point. The 5th commandment on earth says, "You shall not kill." This teaches us that we should not kill. You should not. It is wrong, but why it is wrong, in reality, no one tells you. Simply, you should not kill. Let's move on to the next plane, the afterlife. There, the same law exists, but it says you shall not kill. As much as you try, not only will you not succeed, but because the instrument finds nothing to kill, it returns from where it came. You threw it, it hurts you or touches you, which you neither like nor wish, and you will not try again. You have learned not to kill. Now for the moment, let's study the 6th commandment, you shall not steal. This follows the same principle. On earth we are taught not to steal, it is wrong, but even that is not clear enough. And in the afterlife the commandment says, do not take what does not belong to you. Do not even try, you cannot do it. You can get a similar object, but never the same. It will not stay with you and will return to its rightful owner. On earth, these commandments seem to be prohibitions, but in the next plane they are revealed to you as conditions, laws, and principles that cannot be broken. No one can kill you nor steal from you. You cannot kill anyone or anything. You cannot appropriate what belongs to others, and no one can appropriate what belongs to you. But that is not the only happiness. Look carefully. When you are already on earth and unable to kill or steal, you are ready to learn the conditions of the next plane, called conscience. In other words, When you learn the first lesson, you move on to the second. Isn't that true? But the great happiness is that when you learn the second lesson, it is not necessary for you to be dead or in the other plan of the afterlife. You are very much alive here on earth and apply the second lesson. You are surprised to see that this law works the same way for you here on earth and in heaven. In other words, when you know that the truth is that no one can kill you and no one can steal from you, then no one will kill you and no one will steal from you. No one can stop you from opening your car, even if you leave the key inside. No one can snatch your bag from your arm, even when you are at home at night. No one can charge you more than what is due. Nothing dishonest can happen to you. What is yours and no one else's. We will now explain to you why, in the following paragraphs. Why can't you kill? Because life is precisely this, life, not death. Life cannot die, for that would be absurd. Life is eternally life and can never be dead. So you will say, what is happening to me? I never die because I am alive. Exactly, you are in eternity, and no one can take your life away. Your life is God. Who can take life away from God? So you cannot kill anyone, and he continues to live, more alive than ever, in the other plane just like you. But now you know that what you do on earth comes back to you. This happens through the law of correspondence because everything in one plane has its correspondence in the other planes, in all the other planes. This law says, do not do to others what you would not want them to do to you. Now you know why. If you have not yet learned to obey this law, start observing how everything you do to others, for good and for bad, comes back to you. That is why you cannot steal. What makes this law work in the first place is knowing that you are at an impasse if you have not yet resolved to accept the law of reincarnation. You will say, what do we have here? One of our metaphysical principles is, if you cannot accept something, let it pass. But keep reading. If you do not like the idea, do not reincarnate, but you will not go any further. You will remain stuck for the same reason that one who does not want to accept that the sun will rise tomorrow will have to hide in a closet every morning and stay locked in there for all the sunny hours, every day. The inevitable law of evolution, a complex symphony of growth and transcendence, unfolds like a perpetual journey towards unknown horizons. Imagine it as the child who, fearlessly, tries its first steps, simply opening up to the notion of movement. Now you understand that every facet of existence is a smooth transition from one state to another, an infinite continuum of evolution. As the child evolves into a toddler, the toddler matures into a child, and that child grows to become an adult. This maturation continues until old age, the ultimate stage in this cycle of transformation, before the soul sheds its earthly envelope, seeking a new beginning elsewhere, beyond the boundaries of this familiar world. It's an incessant ballet of metamorphoses, where each phase of life offers unique lessons, experiences, and evolutions. Each stage is a piece of a larger puzzle, shaping the story of our constant evolution as we venture into new realms of consciousness. In this infinite movement, each transformation represents an opportunity for growth, an invitation to embrace the fullness of existence. This is how we learn, grow, and transcend, exploring the multiple facets of our being in this perpetual symphony of life. When the traveler crosses the threshold of the beyond, they enter a new chapter of their existence, where their intrinsic value remains unchanged. Their senses, will, and essence remain intact, even amplified in this new dimension. Perceptual abilities enrich, clearer vision, keener listening, deeper understanding of reality, embracing a broader scope of knowledge. Imagine this as an expansion of consciousness toward uncharted horizons, a refined perception of reality. It's as if each being, once freed from the constraints of the material world, discovers a universe where barriers are abolished, where understanding deepens, where the experience of existence unfolds in unsuspected fullness. Here, the unsuspected riches of the soul are revealed, an infinite expansion towards a transcendent understanding of life. In truth, nothing acquired is lost. It simply readjusts to the new conditions of the plane where we evolve. Each level or plane of existence entails the acquisition of new skills and knowledge. Each incarnation in life offers new experiences, and with them, mastery of new tools and objects. Although on Earth these objects may be material, they have their equivalent in the invisible planes. Now let's delve into the great revelation. Everything you acquire, just like the instruments you learn to handle, be it simple kitchen utensils, a cozy bed, a match to illuminate the darkness, and so forth, have their equivalents in each plane of existence. Keep this in mind. These tools, having been acquired by your consciousness, follow this metaphysical principle and automatically materialize in your life or your successive lives one after the other. Understand that these acquisitions are not just material possessions, but extensions of your being, tangible reflections of your acquired experiences and knowledge. Therefore, they harmoniously manifest in your reality, guided by the subtle yet powerful laws of the universe, always present to accompany your journey through the different spheres of existence. It is undeniable that you do not come into the world in a family devoid of the means to provide what is rightfully yours by consciousness. Sometimes, a child is born into a family that initially seems to lack what was due to them, and then, almost surprisingly, this family acquires what was destined for them. It's a kind of astonishing synchronicity, as if destiny silently works to restore balance. This reality raises a crucial point. No one can steal what rightfully belongs to you, just as you cannot appropriate what you have not acquired or achieved in a previous life. Thus, the key to authentic happiness lies in the deep understanding of this law and these conditions, for this law operates both on the earthly plane and on all other planes of existence. By understanding this, you can rest assured that no being, not even your life partner, can deprive you of what is rightfully yours, as long as you have not behaved similarly towards others. So why fear? If you have already assimilated this truth during this life, it means you hold it by the right of consciousness. Thus, the path to happiness lies in the metaphysical learning of the 10 Commandments. This humble offering we present to you is the first step towards this felicity. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of regularly reading this booklet. Do not relegate it to oblivion, but carry it with you, whether in your bag, wallet, or nearby. Read it daily if you can. Try to put its teachings into practice and constantly remember its guidance. When the time comes to enrich yourself with additional knowledge, join our conferences and acquire the subsequent works. There will be no charge for this. You will only pay for the books you wish to obtain because it is through their sale that we can reproduce them. Receive all our sincere affection and love. May you be enveloped, fulfilled, illuminated, guided, and accompanied by the light of the beloved presence of the I Am throughout your journey.